All right, so you want to do PhD from USA, and when you say the USA term, people gets excited because USA is killing it in all the sense of branding. This is the most branded place to do anything this time at this point of the world, and that's why most of the students that are passing out MSc in India and they want to aspire to do PhD, they want to do that in USA, United States of America. Why they do, they don't know that, although they listen to some of their friends or maybe seniors doing their work-life balance. They are seeing their pictures in and photos in social media profiles, and they think that's a big American dream that they want to achieve, they need to achieve. So the branding comes in handy, and not only that, the parents also start branding that. So is it really worth to do PhD in USA? I'll answer it in this video. Not me only, but along with me there will be joining Mr. Bibhash Nag, who has the experience to do PhD, experience to do the masters in Germany, and also currently is now in UCSF USA, and he can guide you regarding the same. So I'll ask some questions to him regarding the different aspects and parameters of life that you need to decide before getting into do PhD in any country in the world, and based on that you need to take an informed decision. And let me give you one simple idea. Harvard may not be suitable for you, maybe some college, some institute in your own state much more suitable to do research work. Remember that. So that is something that came through our conversation. I already had that conversation. I'm going to show that to you as well, right? It depends on what you are trying to achieve, when you are trying to achieve, and where you are trying to achieve. There are many things, it will vary person to person definitely, but this is extremely important. So in this video we will mark some important parameters, we'll clear some important parameters like the research quality that you're going to get in USA. Second is the stipend opportunity that you'll get from USA, how much money you can make as a research scholar in USA. We'll talk about work-life balance that is out there in USA. We'll talk about the living conditions, living scenarios. Living scenarios means how much cost of living is there, and also how easy it is to live there with the human touch, easy to have the friends and family, and what is the safety, what is the racial discrimination living in that country. We'll also talk about the future aspiration, whether you want to be in the academic sector or you wanted to be in an industrial sector. All these things will be discussed in this particular video, so watch the video from start to the end and you'll get all the benefits.
First, I'll give an overview of how I see this separated. So there are different criteria. So let's say if you want to talk about research, in US the research is very fast, and you have research done with different newest technology, I would say, and that is very fast in the research field, and we have a lot of funding in the research field. So if you want to do an experiment, you can do it five different ways at the same time. The cost of living. Cost of living is like in US and in Europe and in UK. One thing is very sure that they will not give you stipend that less that you won't survive. Yes, there. If you live in New York, your savings will be less. If you're living in some different countries, your saving will be higher. So cost of living I won't consider like as a criteria, because more or less everyone ends up saving equal amount. In US, the problem with someone wants to pursue industry or someone wants to pursue industrial field, the problem is in US you won't get a permanent position unless and until you get H1B visa, which is like a major thing that is required. So US is not an ideal destination for industry because you won't get a permanent position. You will be always on a temporary notice, whereas in UK you will get. But if you want to be in the field of academia, I would say I would prefer US. There are two reasons for that. Since I also applied for Europe and I also applied for US, one of the major reasons I didn't choose Europe particularly is you see very less people of color to get a position, get a PI position. When I say people of color, who are not white, who are not German, who are not white people. So people of color don't get much position in European context. You can see across Europe, not only in Germany, in Sorbonne, in Paris, and like in other places as well. Whereas in US, you have direct example of people who are Indian getting a position in in as a PI. So if you want to do academia, I would choose US, and if you want to do industry, I would choose Europe. So that would be my roughly categorization of like who should apply to which
Fine.
place.
So if somebody need to choose between European countries and US, then they need to go through all these aspects. Like as you said, the cost of living largely varies from person to person, and also
Yeah.
the way they spend, the way they live. Right. So that is something as a personal opinion. But apart from that, for future application, for future aspiration, if somebody need to work in industry and stay there and build a career
Yeah.
outside of India, then Europe is the choice. And if you need to build a career in academics, you're looking into the academic field, then US is a better choice.
Yeah.
That is a summary for this part of the question. Okay. Now, what is the salary average expenditure and average income a person can have in US as well as in European countries? If you differentiate between the things.
Okay, so in US you get around roughly around 38 to $40,000 per year. So that's a rough amount, but it will increase and decrease based on which place you are going, which place you're not going. Similarly, for US, you spend around 1,000 to 800 to $1,000 for your cost of living, which is average, and then you spend around $400 to $500 for your like living and everything include transports and everything, and health insurance is again uh, covered by the university. So roughly you end up saving equal amount in both the cases.
And in US also, if it is $1,500, so you do that 1,500 into 12, that gives you 18,000. So approximately you have $20,000 savings in US as
Yes.
per this calculation. And $20,000 savings in US is not a bad idea at this moment as you start with your career.
Yeah.
Okay. One more vital question is there. Throughout this time frame of doing PhD in US as well as in European countries as in UK, do you get time to upskill yourself in some way? Do you get the sufficient time? And second thing, do you require to do any other job in order to sustain you, or is it possible to do it as a part-time jobs or any other things along with that to make some extra income? Two questions are out there.
PhD contract. In Europe, in US, there is variety of people. It completely depends on you. If you want to work the whole day, you can. If you want to work, there is, as I said, it's very result driven. If you can show the result or if you can show the progress, you are allowed to work 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day. So you are flexible in that. So it also largely depends on your lab culture and lab environment. But like lab I was from, I had enough time for myself to go across places because I love traveling. So I went across a lot of places in US. So you get time, but it's very subjective and it depends on you. And second is in US, people do part time within the universities. Let's say you can do a lot of TA-ship, TAs and graduate research assistantship, which gives you an extra bit of payment because sometimes what you get, let's say if you're living in some places where you feel your stipend is a little lower, so you can opt for TA and you can opt for GRA, like graduate assistantships, and you can work for university library or something sort of that, just to make friends as well as also to get a little more income, which is flexible across in the US. So that's one of the.
And in US also you can work, if you can show result, you can work less per day, you can work part time. And regarding the work-life balance, as you said that both the place Europe and US are quite similar compared to like how you are going to spend your time. You can travel, as you said, you traveled while staying in US in places, right? So you have your time to do that. And
when I talk about safe, it means like, let's say you are very aware of gun violence in US, right? So the gun rule is so there are a lot of casualties that's being reported every year in US, and there are some hotspots in US. Let's say there's one very good university, let's say John Hopkins University is in Baltimore. Baltimore is one of the it's known for its crime. So I would say, mentally you always think about okay, there might something happen to me, but you don't have. I am not saying that you will always end up getting something happening to you, but at least mentally you are in a state that okay, I need to be safe. I need to be aware of when I'm walking down the streets.
Okay.
Whereas in
Got it.
Europe,
One more query is that what is the level of a person is leaving their house, leaving their home, they are acquainted here in India, and they're traveling to a country which is completely new to the person up until they reach there. So there are times I know numerous students of mine, they are there. There is a sudden time they call me and say like I'm literally like, I'm doing things good, my work is going fine, but still there is a vacant place somewhere in my mind. Like I'm away from my home, I cannot go every single occasion to that place. So in that case, one thing matter is friendship, academic relationship, and the relationship with you with your colleagues, the relationship with you with your PI, the lab head. So in terms of this nourishment of human contacts and relationships, how do you rank US, European country, and Asian countries?
I would say US is very good in terms of this matter because you can start small talk with any person. You can start small talks with even a Uber driver. They will like give you a good time, like you can have chat because they're very friendly, they're very open. So normally, if you're aware, like so from PhD perspective, I would say um PhD after you have done your PhD, one easy transition is like industrial transition. It's like if you want to switch to industry, so you can switch to industry in US, you can switch to industry in Europe. So that's an easy transition. Why I would say easy transition? Because normally if you want to be in academia, postdoc is one another layer that you need to add. So getting a postdoc is relatively easier, I would say, because why? Because postdoc doesn't have a portal, right? So you get either directly to a lab collaborator who have been working on your project. So that is an easy transition. But if you don't want to do a postdoc, if you directly want to switch to industry, you have options. Like switching to industry needs, you should think from like the end of your third year that do I have the skills to switch to a university? So let's say if you are from an ecology background and you need to do the research that time that okay, if I want to switch to industry, what are the ecological industry that are there? What are the skills they require for me to apply? So I think that from the third year end, you should think that and try to build on those skills because that skills are important. Industry is way more tougher, I would say, as compared to academia. Academia is an easy transition because you get directly recruited by a collaborator or let's say a lab you are applying because people don't stay in academia long. So that is the thing. And regarding coming back to India, I have seen a lot of people after PhD come back to India to do a industrial job, which is very readily accepted because in Indian university again India is a biotech university going up, and they want to recruit people who have done like things from abroad. And regarding academia, I'll touch a little bit on academia as well. So after PhD, you go to a postdoc, you do a postdoc. So after postdoc, you again have this dilemma that whether I want to do a industry or whether I want to do a academia. So academia in US or in Europe, I would say it's all basis that whether you are getting a grant or not, or whether you're bringing a grant under your name or not. If you are struggling with that, you won't get a direct position of being a professor, being a PI. So you get into assistant professors and so on, and you need to try on to bring a grant. But if you want to come back to India, I think the age limit is 35. Before that, you need to apply. And also, if you have done your PhD and postdoc from QS ranking and PhD ranking under 500, you don't need to even give CSI and NET to be a professor. So you can directly apply. And it's a trend, like it's a trend that I'm seeing nowadays with a lot of these universities that is growing. Let's say I will give you an example. Let's say Ashoka University, they're recruiting very excellent professors who have done like PhD and postdoc from outside and with a lot hefty amount, and they're coming and setting up their lab in India. So if you have done postdocs outside, like US or Europe in a good place, there are higher chances of you getting a position in India, because you see a lot of people who are in the PI position in TIF or in GBS in any other, they have at least done their postdocs in from US or from Europe. So these are the chances more. So thinking from like future perspective, there are different junctures from PhD, because after PhD, postdoc getting into directly a PI position is very rare. But you can end up getting into, let's say, there one of my senior I know who have done the PhD and got directly into being a chief scientific officer in CSIR, in one of the CSIR institutes. So these are small examples, but mostly PhD to industry and postdoc then to academia. I would say that's the transition normally people.
So if somebody needs to stay in, not in India, outside of India. So after PhD, industry is easy, as you said. Industry transition is easier compared to the academia. So why people? As you said that most of the people they prefer industry, not academia. What is the reason? Is it because the transition to industry easy at that moment, or is it because the future prospect of industry is better, the income is more than academia? What is the reason?
Income is more.
Okay.
You get a stability.
Okay.
You get a stability because if you are in European countries and if you want to set up a family, you need more income, because that's one of the thing. And also, your mental stability is much more stable in industry, because again, if you're doing a postdoc, you're under someone, right? And you are very much focused on, okay, you need to produce this result, you need to be on time, you need to be on, like, this more than professionalism, I would say, in academia. Whereas in industry, you are more strict to the timeline you're working. Let's say 9 to 5 I work, I go home, I spend time with my family and stuff. So that's also a mental satisfaction that you have. And again, cost of living plays a bigger role when you're planning your future. So that's the thing. Some people who tends to choose academia is only one of the reasons that they're very passionate about the field. Like they want to set up their own lab and they want to not work under someone else. So that's one, or they want to teach or something sort of. That's one of the other lot of people who choose academia. Otherwise, like the majority trend, like I was seeing my university cohort only. So last year, 20 students registered as a PhD, and the pass out students, 16 of them transitioned to industry, and 4 of them went to academia. So that's a trend we are seeing nowadays. So that's what it's blooming right now. So because they are paying you like exact double. Like let's say if you are getting in your postdoc around $70,000 per year in US, you in industry your salary starts from one thousand $120,000. So it's like exactly like 1.5x. So which is like again good.
So obviously that's the result is showing it 16 out of 20 in industry and 4 out of 20 in academia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and one vital question also here, which is something that Indian students always have in their mind: color discrimination. And is like this is something that, because as we are discussing about all these things, so I need to talk about all the aspects. So how do you think about color discrimination in particularly other European countries, in UK particularly, and in US? What is like, how do you rank them? How is it there?
I think in US you won't see much of color discrimination apart from what you see in the news. Why? The reason is because in US, if you're in the field of academia, mostly the US academia is comprised of either Indian American, or Asian people. So you have that diversity range within your academia. So like I would say that more than 50% of this, like of the students who are in the academia, are either American Indian, or have an Asian background at some point of the time. So you have that range. So in US you don't see that much racism or anything discrimination in the color in the field of academia.
I believe you have a clear idea regarding what are the parameters important to think while applying PhD abroad, and we have talked about all the important parameters. If you still have some queries, you can ask that query in the comment section, and also you can get the contact of Bibhash from this description. You have that, you can contact him and ask your queries there. He will help you in framing a proper SOP and also help you to apply in the foreign universities. But again, personal preferences might vary, so depending upon your preferences, whether you need a better work-life balance, whether you need to be in the field of academia, whether you need to feel in the field of to be in the field of let's say industry, depending upon all these parameters, your selection process might vary. So never always go for the brand, go for the practicality. So the practicality study and reality check is provided by this video. I believe it is provided. If this video helps you out in some way, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends and colleagues, subscribe to this channel to get more videos like that in future. And if you want to know what are the exact 5-step process from start to the end to continue applying for the PhD abroad, PhD in US, PhD in UK, PhD in European countries or Asian countries, then there is a separate video for that in this channel. You can watch that video. Actually, this series of 6 videos that are out there in this particular playlist all are dedicated to make you ready to be eligible to do PhD abroad, and you're going to get it from here and you can try it yourself. It's going to help you definitely. So I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe to this channel.